Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Hills and Tech. Hello, everybody. You are very much welcome. You're welcome. Um, Today, we are going to talk about something very important in the life and well being of a woman. You're all welcome to today's conversation. Um, Before we get into it, just going to give a little overview. If this is your first time joining Hills and Tech webinars, you're very much welcome. Let's get into it. Okay. Our topic for today is perimenopause and your career, things to look out for. Just a brief overview of what is Hills and Tech and who we are. Hills and Tech is a platform dedicated to closing the gender gap between women and technology. We offer several non-coding courses such as business analysis, data analytics, data governance, product design, product marketing, bioinformatics, Salesforce, CRM, cybersecurity, amongst others. We currently have courses ongoing right now. So if you're interested in business analysis, please reach out to us. Courses start in a couple of days. A little bit about our founder, Ms. Bisola Alaibi. She started her career in tech 10 years ago and never touched a line of code and witnessed the gap between women and technology, watched families lose their jobs to digitization, and decided to do something about it in 2020. She set up a platform where women have increasingly become breadwinners, can acquire non-coding technical skills, and apply for high-quality jobs in less than 2 months. The result has been phenomenal, and we are committed to doing so much more. We are fully online and have trained from over 25 countries. This has been made possible by the virtue of hands-on training and quality of facilitators who ensure our students get value and also monitor them during interview sessions. Amazingly, we have trained students from various backgrounds, such as stay at home moms, undergraduates, lawyers, medical doctors, people who wish to immigrate, amongst others. By 2030, our aim is to have trained over 100 million African women through paid and free sessions such as this. Bisola Laibi is also an author. She authored Jasmine Discovers Tech Book for Young Girls in Secondary School. Um, Most of our students work in companies that you may have heard of, such as MTN, UBA, and so many others. So you too can be one of our students if you sign up. So today's session is perimenopause and your career, things to look out for by our amazing facilitator. She's actually an alumni of Hills and Tech, meaning she has taken courses with us. Her name is Miss Adeyinka Aderoju. And just a brief overview about her amazing, trailblazing path that she has taken over the years. Ms. Adeyinka Aderoju is a seasoned consultant with over 20 years of expertise in marketing research, product management, and business analysis. As the managing director and CEO of Market Knowledge and Insights, she has honed her skills in market research, strategy implementation, brand building, and marketing strategy planning. Adeyinka's deep understanding of market analysis, digital communications, and their impact on consumers and corporate decision makers makes her a valuable thought leader. She is also a guest lecturer at the Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University, and the Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, where she focuses on market research methods. Known for her keen analytical mind and excellent communication skills, Adeyinka excels at managing large scale projects and delivering results within set timelines. Her proven expertise in business strategy and relationship management makes her a sought after consultant and a dynamic voice in the field. She is also the founder of Menohaven, a platform she created to break the silence around menopause and provide a supportive space for women navigating perimenopause and menopause. As the visionary CEO of Men of Heaven, Adeyinka is passionate about connecting women to wellness experts and guiding them through this important journey. It is with great pleasure I introduce our speaker for today. And we all give a great welcome to our speaker for today, Miss Adeyinka. Hello, Mom.
Hello, Beatrice. Wow. I was wondering who that was you were talking about. Um, Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I generally am camera shy, so one of the ways that you can encourage me is to send me some love. So I guess Beatrice will tell me whether you sent me some hearts or likes and so on. Yes. But
Yes, I
let's
can see your comments. We are happy to be here. Yay.
Great, that's good. All right. I would like to say, just to thank Hills and Tech for giving me this opportunity. It's something that a subject that I'm really passionate about. As women, we tend our voices are not heard in the right places, and our voices are not heard about the right things that concern us. And so this matter of menopause and the like are things that I feel that we should really amplify. And so having this opportunity is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. And the other thing about it is that with younger women, the tendency is that we would say, oh, no, don't talk to me about that yet because it's not that time. However, I have learned, in as I grew older and got into menopause, I wish that I had someone who could have told me a little more about it, at least prepared me for some of the things that I then faced when I went through it. And so that's why this topic is extremely important, because in my 30s, my 40s, I was a go-getter. I was all over the place. I was making presentations and, doing all manner of work, and engaging with people. And so when the symptoms started, it took me by surprise because I was wondering what was going on with me and so on. So this is a very good subject for you all to listen to, and for you to take, some learnings from. And so I'll just go straight ahead and start my presentation. Now, in the past, people have thought when people talk about menopause, the first thing that people think about is that, oh, this will happen when I'm 50. You understand? I mean, people say, oh, okay, your period will stop at 50, and then, that's when you're into menopause. Well, I found out that that is not particularly true. Interestingly, these days or nowadays, people are getting into perimenopause as early as the mid 30s. I don't know whether it's with something that we eat nowadays or the air that we breathe, but it's coming up really early, basically. And then women in their 30s and 40s, at that time, you are the prime of your career. Everybody wants you to do this, wants you to do that. You're excelling in your career, you're doing well. Sorry, what's that sound? Like in here, a sound at the background? There was a sound I could hear. Anyway, all right. So we are the prime of your career, and then in fact, by the time you're in your 40s, you're becoming a senior manager, you're becoming a director, you're all of that. You're achieving a lot, and then this thing hits you, and sometimes it hits you in a way that you're not prepared for. And so, as I said earlier, that's why it's important that you listen to these types of presentations and these opportunities for you to prepare yourself for when that happens. Because most times people actually misunderstand what is going on in their bodies, right? So perimenopause, menopause, it's biological. It has to do with your hormones. It's not something that you can say, oh, I'm going to control it. There's nothing that you can say you will do to stop it from happening. This is just a phase that you actually have to go into. And so being prepared for it is essentially important. So the early warning signs, and these happens from mid 30s, some of the things that you need to focus on at this point. There's some subtle cognitive and emotive changes that can, affect your work. One of them, and this is a major one, is it's the what we call brain fog. Um, and I know sometimes some people will say, no, I just forgot. But when you constantly find that you are feeling like you're slower, or you're at a presentation and you can't sort of remember the name of the person beside you, or you can't even remember a word that you need to use for your presentation, please do not just wave it off. You need to pay attention. So you have to find a way to prepare yourself for presentations in such a way that you will not miss words. I remember I found myself saying, "Oh, how do you say?" Or how do you understand? Just because I'm trying to find the word, and generally I'm a very good orator, if I can put it that way. I know English. I studied English. I can actually present, and people have applauded my presentations often. And then I started finding that the words would just go away from my brain, and it's like grasping at straws. And sometimes that can actually destabilize you when you're making a presentation. So that's one of the symptoms that you need to start looking out for. You go into a room for a Zoom meeting and then you can't remember why you went into that room. So there's that brain fog, there's that memory, the things that impact your memory, where you can't even remember. Like, I remember my cousin, we were in our 40s then, and she was wearing her glasses and she stood in the middle of the room and said, "Where are my glasses?" And I looked up at her and I said, "It can't be that the ones that are on your on your face right now, right?" And she was like, "Oh my God." So things like that might happen, and you need to pay attention to that. The other thing is, you like I said, the emotional symptoms like anxiety. You start losing your confidence. You start feeling like, oh, you're not enough. You start having those imposter type of feelings that you never had before. It was like, you were very confident, you knew what you were doing. You still know what you're doing, but it's the emotion, it's the hormones that's affecting you at that point that makes you start to feel less than who you are. And I believe that is a function of the fact that now you're forgetting things, now you're not speaking as fluently as you used to do. And so it's beginning to like affect your emotions. It's beginning to affect the way you feel about yourself. The other thing, and another thing that you would go through at the perimenopausal stage, is sleep fragmentation. And what that means is that your sleep is affected, as a matter of fact. And generally, what then happens is, because the reason is that it comes out of another symptom, which is what we call hot flashes. And that's the symptom that everybody knows. Once you say menopause, people say hot flashes or hot flushes, depending on what side of the world you are in. Because at that point of perimenopause, it actually comes out as night sweats. So you just wake up in the night, it's like sweat all over your body. And of course, that keeps you awake for a while. And because you're not sleeping as well as you used to, that then affects your daytime activities as well. So these are some of the early warning signs. So you might not be sweating yet in the office, but you're having those times at night where you're having, that night sweat. So you need to pay attention to that as well. Then there are the physical symptoms. At the stage where you're going through perimenopause, your periods haven't started, but you would find that, interestingly, they're becoming heavier. There will be days when you will just feel it's like a rush of, the blood coming down. I believe we're all women on this platform. I hope we're all women on this platform. But I'll give an example. I remember that time as well, before I turned 50, I was still doing my period. Remember once I went to those days you used to, British Airways, you had to go to their office to book tickets and things like that. And I'd gone to their office on Queen's Drive at the time, and I was sitting in front of, one of the attendants or whatever, just talking about, okay, my dates and this out and all, how much it will cost and all that. So she was typing, and then suddenly I just felt it. It was like somebody opened it up, and I was like, God, what in the world am I going to do? Do you understand? And it's not like every day of your period at that time. It would just be like maybe once you just feel that splurge. And I couldn't get up after she was done. Luckily, it was a lady. So I just leaned forward to her and I said, please, you have to help me. I think something is wrong, because I could actually feel like it was already, coming up. Anyway, so things like that would happen. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to say, don't think that something is wrong with you if you have that kind of, because initially I was like, oh, fibroids, oh, this, that, and the other, but it wasn't, because it wasn't happening consistently. But these are some of the signs that you would have when you're in perimenopause, because if you're still in your period, you're not in menopause totally yet, you would have to have, your period would have to have stopped for a whole year for you to know that you're now in menopause. So for as long as, if your periods are skipping, like maybe you have a period this month, you don't have one till like 2 months later, it's perimenopause. You're getting there, basically, is what that is telling you. The other thing is that you now start having maybe shorter cycles. Instead of the normal 28 days, you find that your period is coming 24, 25 days. Sometimes you feel like you're having 2 periods in a month, those kinds of things. Those are the things that you need to look out for as you prepare. In perimenopause. Of course, I talked about the hot flashes, and then you start seeing the physical hot flashes. You're sitting in a room, there's AC, there's like serious AC, and then suddenly this sweat just comes. I really can't describe it. You have to actually go through it to understand it, because it's difficult. It's like, it would seem as if your face is shielded from all the air, because the heat is coming from inside of you, and you just find yourself sweating. I think that was actually one of the points where I said to myself, what's this? We need to let people know that this is happening, because I was at a presentation. I remember MTN was one of my clients at the time. I went for a presentation, and as I was presenting, of course, the room was full of guys and some ladies. And then suddenly, and you will know it when the sweat is coming, obviously, it just comes, and unfortunately, it's on your face. It's not something you can actually hide. You understand? So it just came, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then one of the guys that was like the host of the meeting, was like, oh, Mr. Aderoju, are you okay? He looked up at the AC, picked up the remote, how, it was so embarrassing. And then I had to say, I can't even remember what I said, because I was like, I said, oh, don't mind me, it's me, something like that. And I just went on with my presentation. But that is it. These are some of the things that would happen. And at that time, like I said, I wasn't 50. So it wasn't like, I still was having my periods, So sometimes, we need to know this at that age, so that we are not running to the doctor every day saying, oh, something is wrong with me and all that, because it would happen. The other thing, another physical sign, is that you might start having body aches, body pains that you never used to have before. And so these are some of the warnings, early signs. So I just wanted to go through the myth and the reality. So the myth is it only happens in your 50s. Sorry, it doesn't only happen in your 50s. It can actually start in mid-30s. It's just hot flashes. Not really. A lot of times there are other issues going on. It's not just hot flashes. There's so many other symptoms. I'm not going to bore you with those ones right now, because a lot of this major symptoms happen truly when you get into menopause. But these ones are the ones that you will begin to experience in perimenopause. The myth is, oh, it's just that I'm losing my edge, I'm no longer the way I used to be. I remember one of my bosses said, Yinka, you're losing your charm, something like that. And in my mind, I was saying, if this man only knew the half of it, do you understand? There's so many things, but it's not that. You still have your edge, but it's just hormonal, it's biological, it's something that you need to work on. Um, so then some people will say, oh, look, whatever it is, I'll just power through it. Powering through it, it would cause burnout. But what you need to do is to focus, understand what you're going through, understand the symptoms that you're having, and then do something about it. It's important that you understand them, and it's important that you recognize them for what they are and not thinking. I mean, I remember I was watching something that Oprah had a whole show around menopause, and she was saying, when the thing started, she had heart palpitations. I did that. I had those too. And she was like, oh, she didn't know what was wrong with her. She said she went to doctors, she spent so much money, and they kept telling her, they put her on some machines, they did this. In the end, she found out, just quietly, she found out it was just menopause. So it will save you a lot of drama and a lot of money if you already know what exactly you're going through. So what's the solution? I mentioned to Beatrice that I have very short slides, so that you can ask me questions, and then you have a chance for me to answer them. So what is the solution? Lifestyle changes. You can't live the way you used to live when you were 20. You have to change your lifestyle. Luckily, I think more young people do exercises than before. So one of the major things is that you have to exercise. If you exercise and you exercise consistently, you actually could keep having hot flushes. I have a friend who, once I was with her, we went out and she saw me dabbing on my face and doing all manner of things, and she was like, yeah, I don't. So I was looking at her and thinking, what's happening to you, Leslie? She was like, no, me, I don't have all this because I exercise. So there are things that you actually can do to not totally eradicate it, but at least to reduce or minimize some of these symptoms. The other thing is that you have to review your diet. Sorry, I have to say that. The more sugar you eat, the more hot flushes you get. I can tell you that one for free. So you need to watch what you're eating. You need to watch, what you're drinking. You need to watch, just your diet in its entirety. You might need to engage a nutritionist who can walk you through what you need to do at this stage of your life. You also can adjust your sleep and work patterns because you don't sleep so well at night. Some people say it's insomnia. I remember that I used to have Lexotan in those days. I'm sure you all know that pill is a sleeping pill. And I would use Lexotan because I know that if I don't sleep, I have a presentation, I have to do this, I have to do that at work. I can't be sleeping at work. But that wasn't, because it's not even good for you to be hooked on sleeping pills. So, but adjust your patterns. You can talk to your boss, and that you see on this slide, I said, speak with HR. You can talk to your bosses, don't say, oh, I'm getting old, or just, don't make it a medical issue. Just say, look, this is what's happening. This is how I would prefer to do my work. Can I do the main work in the mornings so that in the afternoon when I'm getting tired because I haven't had enough sleep, I can do more of the, like the administrative work, so that at the beginning of the day, I can attack, a lot of the important work that is, that needs my full attention. You can also seek expert help. And then again, the last thing I would encourage you to do is join a support community, because when these things are happening, believe me, I can tell you stories of people who have done drastic things when it was just menopause or perimenopause. I met a lady because I have a community called Meno Haven that I started. And I met a lady at one of our physical events. And she said to me that she thought she was having insomnia, right? She couldn't sleep and she wasn't sleeping well. And so she was worried. Her husband was worried. Her family members were worried, and they were all like, what's going on? She can't sleep, this. Then suddenly somebody told her, it's the village people. It's not village people, though. And you will not believe it, where my story is going. She actually paid a prayer prophet to go to the mountain and paid that person almost 500,000 naira to go and pray for her so she can sleep when it was just menopause. The reason I'm telling you this is that if it hasn't started yet, you might think it's nothing. When it starts, you are going to feel like you're going crazy. And I can tell you because, and then because, and the reason I say join a support community is if you have a support community, you know that you're not alone, you're not weird. It's not village people, nobody's after you. This is just a biological change. It's a phase every woman must go through. So speak with an expert if you want. The other thing is be bold. Like I said here, speak with your HR person. Look, there are changes happening, and I need a fan on my table because that's the only way I would not, my face will not be looking like I'm sweating inside AC. And I'm sure you all have seen now, the reason these hand fans are now, people who sell them are making a lot of money is because of the women. Every party you go to, you see women with those things on their face. I remember I went to a party just recently, like maybe 2 weeks ago or so, and one of the guys that was sitting on our table was like, see, I keep seeing women holding these fans. And I'm wondering what it's all about, and we all started laughing at him because obviously he didn't understand what was going on. But that's the reality. That's what we have to deal with. And so it's important how we work with these things that I've said and that we prepare ourselves for it. People even get thrown into menopause in their 40s, in their late 30s, because, for example, a friend of mine, she got married early in her 20s. By her 30s, she had had like 4 children, and she was like, look, I'm not interested in having children anymore. So she had a hysterectomy, and I'm sure you know what a hysterectomy is. She removed her womb because she didn't want to have that accident of having another pregnancy. Immediately she did that, she was thrown into menopause. That's it. So there are things that happen, apart from the surgeries that people will have that will throw them right into menopause. So please, it is a thing of the past to say, oh, I'm too young, that can't happen to me. That's false. And it's because in our days, our mothers were quiet. In Africa, women don't talk. If you're even you endure, you don't generally talk about the things that you're going through. But it is now time for us to talk about it and be open about it so that we don't kill ourselves as young people. And the other emotional thing that happens, which a lot of people don't talk about, is what they now refer to as mental health. Some women go into depression because all of these things are happening, because at some point you become highly irritable. Any little thing irritates you. You're fighting people. One day you're peaceful, the next day you're shouting at your children, shouting at your colleagues, and all of that. It's all part of it. And so people go into depression because they think something is wrong with them. People just, all manner of things. It's very serious. Yet it's something that if we talked more about, we can actually survive and thrive through it. Thank you very much. I'll let Beatrice talk about my community. I'll take the questions now.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. And one question I can see here is, at what point do the symptoms go beyond pushing through and then we need to seek medical help? I think that's medical help.
The fact of the matter is that you can't push through it. You have to go through it, right? So what I'm saying is it doesn't necessarily have to be a doctor that you go to see. Yes. Like I said, if you seek on our platform, for example, we have experts on that platform. We have a nutritionist expert, we have a pharmacist, we have a mental health expert, a psychotherapist, we have a physiotherapist, and then we have a skincare expert. So these are experts because these are some of the things, the changes actually that can help you manage those symptoms. They're not necessarily, you can't take a medication for it, is the point I'm trying to make. So if you go to
Yes.
the doctor will just tell you the same thing, some of the things I've told you today. You need to change this and that and the other. We actually had a doctor, I brought in a doctor into our community who was, what do they call them now? Heart doctors. Uh,
Cardiologist.
yeah, cardiologist. Thank you. I brought a cardiologist. You see it now. I can't remember cardiologist. A cardiologist into the community to talk to us about, heart health.
Your heart,
And,
yeah.
he talked to us. I mean, in my community, we have women between the ages of 45 and 65 because that's the time that menopause generally sets in. Um, and at the end of the day, he told us, you have to manage what you eat, you have to exercise, you have to, all of these things I've said. There is no medication. That's why I have a pharmacist on the platform. The most that they would recommend would be supplements, not necessarily. There's no medication that stops menopause. The only thing that can stop it, and I'll tell you that here, is for you to do a hormone replacement. There is such a thing. You can do it. I know that I've spoken with one of these Hollywood types, and she told me, she said, look, I had to do hormone replacement, and this is why. I'm actually on air or I'm shooting a scene, and then as I'm talking and talking, sweats on my face. Then they will stop, and then I'll wipe my face, do the makeup again, then come off. Then as I'm talking again, sweat. So she said
Wow.
she just couldn't deal with it. So she just decided that would stop it. But there are side effects for hormone replacement. So I have to
Of
tell you that.
course.
Yeah. So it's better that you do the regular stuff than for you to try and change it.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Mom. I've learned a whole new things that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
Another question here. Just like pregnancy symptoms differs from women, does these symptoms differ too?
Yeah, they differ. Some women don't. It depends on the woman. Obviously, there are different things for different people. Some symptoms. Some women suffer severe symptoms, right? And some women just have the hot flushes. The hot flushes will happen to the majority of women, because that's just the way that is with menopause. But some of the other symptoms, for example, I never suffered body aches and things like that, but some women are having it seriously, I also didn't, I know I did the insomnia thing, yes, but I never got into depression because me, I'm a very happy person. And besides, I have work. So that distracts me. I don't have time to be depressed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I keep going, basically. So that also skipped me. But generally, the thing about symptoms, depending on how you prepare yourself for it, that would determine the severity. I can only speak of the severity, but all women will go through the symptoms, but the severity is what is now different from one woman to the other, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Right. Does that answer the question? I hope it does.
Yes, that definitely answers the question. The
Okay.
question. Um, Thank you so much, ma'am. Please continue to leave your questions in the comment section while I show the more about the events. I'll just share my screen just so that everybody can see this.
Do I need to bring down mine?
Oh no, not at all. I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Please continue to leave your questions in the comment section. Uh-huh. Um, please continue to leave your comments in the comment section. Okay. Okay, I hope everybody can see my screen. Just to announce that this weekend we are happy to invite everybody to the Hills and Tech collaboration with Menor Haven to the International Women's Day event happening this Saturday, 28th March 2026 at 1 p.m. Please, if you are in Lagos, please plan to spend your weekend with us. We are looking forward to having you. Please come and interact. We're going to dive into data, AI, women in tech, and basically women related discussions. And you can come and ask as many questions as you want and interact with your fellow women. So please, we'll be looking forward to having you all join us. And you can look out for the registration link on our platforms on Instagram, on our website. We'll be sure to send it out shortly. Thank you so much, ma'am, for today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you so much
yes,
for having me. Yeah.
yes.
And
In the
our
absence,
community is available
yes,
if you want to join as well. Our
yes,
support community. Yes.
yes. Oh, I can see a
Like
comment saying
I'll
I'll
let
be there.
Beatrice send you the
Yeah.
link if anyone who is interested. Yeah.
Yes, please. So look out for my message on if you're on the alumni community page, you'll surely be able to see it. So look out for the link. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Of course, the session is recorded, so you can always come back and rewatch it. And if you have questions, please go ahead and leave them in the community, and we'll pass on the questions. And if you are just joining us, you're just getting to know about Heroes and Tech. We do a lot of courses. We have a business analysis class coming up on the 28th of March as well. We also are currently doing a 30 days AI challenge in celebration of International Women's Day. We have a session today. We're on day 16. So by 5 p.m. today, we are going to look through a tool called HeyGen. It's an AI video tool. So please look out for the link as well. Thank you all so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank
Bye,
you all for joining.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.